My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. Before I get started, I do want to thank our sponsor, iTrust Capital. You can go over there and set up your own crypto IRA. It's very easy to do. And the cool thing is you can put your Solana in there along with a whole slew of other assets, including gold and silver even. So there's a lot available over there. Very easy to use, low cost, no monthly fees. All you do is pay for your trades within your IRA. Check and see if it works for you on your tax position. Always use our link down below. It's going to give you a $100 funding reward to get started. All right, we got to take a look at Solana today, and then we're going to bring our guest on here in just a second. As it is starting to crack into its all-time high, holding a 255 right now price, and not bad for Solana considering. And I think some of this may be because of, interestingly enough, a SUI outage actually occurred. Can you believe it? A SUI outage occurred just this morning. Of course, everybody was, I think, scrambling, but they did do a pretty good job on recovering. And interestingly enough, we've had the SUI team on before. We've talked about this very topic. We'll be breaking that down as well to kind of discuss that. Here, in fact, is our guest today, Joe McCann. He was talking about this. He said, hey, well done, SUI team. Community, swift recovery in just a few hours. So welcome to the party. I think these are the kind of things that we not only fear, from blockchain enthusiasts, people that are running nodes, and also I think just in general, the community. But things like this are going to happen. This is still very early technology for sure. In fact, I've got a clip of Mysten Labs talking about this very thing. Let's go to that clip.
When do you become battle tested? When does that happen? So, you say now it hasn't happened, but it could happen, right? Where you just get a huge influx of users and it's going to test your system, and that's when you really know.
The amount of users in Web3 today is so low that the outages that are happening now are pitiful. Like, it should not be happening. There aren't enough users in Web3 to take SUI down, right? We have no worries about being able to take on the world's demands, but I think the other networks do, which is why they have to quote a TPS. Any kind of volume, meaningful volume comes onto the network, the networks usually go down. I mean, SUI's never gone down. We never had any outage, and you don't have failing transactions that are required to try again and again. Mm-hmm. You don't have outages that go on for, random times where, you actually need to trade, which you don't get from Web3 as a whole. And I think we're bringing that level of execution to Web3, and I think it's about time.
All right, and we've had them on before, and of course that statement is kind of, unfortunately, going to have to eat a little bit of crow there. But I think in general, you just have to look at the technology and where it has come from. Not only that network, but others. Solana has also faced this. I wanted to bring on Joe McCann. He's a very outspoken Solana bull, I would call him, out there, coming in from Asymmetric. Thanks, Joe, for coming in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, so Joe, let's get into a few points. First thing I want to kind of jump to is just if you look at the transaction levels, and what we did over here on DeFi Llama was we took a look at Solana, SUI, Avalanche, and Base. These are the ones. Of course, Solana right now in their TVL, absolutely on fire. And you think about that and where it's going. Where do you see the core opportunities for Solana as it is right now? There's been a lot that have come since Breakpoint. But is there anything that you're watching that's saying, hey, I'm still very vested in this, I see this as an upside?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, so Solana has more or less proved that they are the chain for retail. Solana has product market fit at this point. I saw the SUI clip about, talking about outages and reliability concerns with other chains. But the reality is, I've been a software developer for 24 years, as well as a trader and an investor. And it turns out that you're going to get these types of issues when you have a lot of activity. And so this was the same thing with social networks, 15 years ago. I mean, Coinbase to this day still gets so much traffic that it ends up having reliability issues. This is a positive thing, and it should be embraced. Now, of course, nobody wants to be using a chain when it's down or it's not reliable. But the beauty is, even earlier this year, when we had kind of the meme coin craze in Q1, and there was kind of congestion on the network of Solana, that bug has been patched because it actually occurred in a production environment with a ton of activity. That's what you actually want to see. You want to see a lot of activity so you can identify these types of bugs and patch them. And since then, the meme coin craze has gotten even crazier, and we've had no reliability issues on the network.
Yeah, that is a good point that you're making there, in the sense of where Solana has been on this cycle. Granted, altcoin season hadn't necessarily begun. Memes,
that's right,
most likely are going to see even more, fever pitch around trading. So we'll get a chance to see if it's battle tested this time around. going into this. I want to play a clip for you that is Dr. Emin Gun. He's talked about this around Avalanche, and I want to get your opinion. Let's go to that clip.
This game, this off-the-grid game, last I saw, there was something like 7 million users. It might even be more than that. Probably is by now.
Much more than.
Oh, wow. What's going on with this?
It's great to open up the PlayStation Store. Last time I opened it, it was the top game on it. It's not one of these coin things. You're not farming coins. You're not doing anything with coins. And this game, for example, will never be impacted by anything that happens on the C chain. And all of these systems should be on separate chains that are isolated from each other, such that your gameplay is not impacted if there's something else happening on Avalanche that day. Now, there are two other systems that are similar to us in their multi-chain vision. That's Polkadot and Cosmos.
It seems like you guys finally hit the jackpot here. It's like the holy grail of blockchain.
When you look at Avalanche, Joe, and you consider what they've done with their L1s, the whole idea of these kind of subnets, I mean, Polkadot was really kind of the OG of this. What are your thoughts on that? Is this something that you feel like scales well with growth in blockchain overall?
Well, I mean, look, I agree with the point of not having things that are happening on the other part of the Avalanche chain to take down what you're doing when you're playing the video game.
Yeah.
Solana does this extremely well with what are called localized fee markets, right? So if you really want to, do an NFT mint or swap a token, or there's some, application that you're using that you really need your transaction to get through, you can pay more to actually get that transaction to go through without affecting others on the network. And so Solana is already doing this and has been doing this for quite some time. It's the same principle, it's just implemented differently. And so something like Avalanche or Cosmos, by having these subnets or these kind of, this myriad set of chains, you're introducing a level of complexity, not necessarily just for the developers, but for the end users. And so I think one of the benefits you get from having, frankly, a monolithic stack is that from the developer's perspective, it's all encompassed in one place. Mm-hmm. But from the user's perspective, there's no real difference in how you're interacting with the chain.
So a couple of points there. Solana has been a chain that it looked like it was going to start out as a gaming chain. We saw enough projects launching on it. We saw obviously a ton of meme coins launching within it, especially when Phantom really integrated. But then you look at Avalanche, which appears to have taken a little bit of the lead, at least when it comes to devs on gaming. And back to your point, is that may open up as the gaming chain. I would agree with you that there are some alternatives on how this works. Do you think both win in this society? I guess I don't think it's a winner take all, but I'm kind of curious. Do you think both win potentially, maybe in different areas of the industry?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for competition in the space. That means the end user ultimately wins. And I do believe that users don't really care how the sausage is made. They just want a great experience, right? Sure. So whether it's on Avalanche, it's on Solana, it's on an Ethereum L2 or an L3 like Xpopulous, which is also, a video game specific chain, it doesn't really matter. Users just want the best experience. And I think that that's ultimately what's going to drive towards a multi-chain world. The key, though, I think, is, are you specifically focusing on a sector to be that, for your chain?
Right.
Or are you providing a platform or a network that has a wide spectrum of use cases, right? So if I go back to Solana as an example, there's video games on Solana. Of course there is. But there's also DePIN projects, right? Like Helium, Hive Mapper, these types of things. Of course, there's loads of DeFi. And they all benefit from the same level of effort that developers in the Solana community put into making Solana the fastest high throughput chain today.
Well, yeah, and I think when you look back at that chart, I'll just for our viewers that maybe didn't get a chance to see that, is you're looking at some pretty significant numbers here just in the TVL on Solana. And this is in comparison to Base, Avalanche, and Sui, all of which, granted, Base is an early chain. Could we see some growth out of that? Sure, that's an EVM. But the interesting point is that Solana just continues to accelerate. So we're going to see more and more, I think, in terms of growth. I want to go to another.
Right. And
go ahead, make a point.
I was just going to quickly mention, look, Phantom, these, call it the canonical wallet application that end users download on their mobile phones, was higher than WhatsApp and Instagram just recently. And that implies to me that a lot of net new users, retail users, are coming
Right.
to not necessarily Coinbase directly, but they're going straight to Solana. And it's likely because of a lot of the meme coin activity, of course, but also the ease of use of just using Solana for myriad applications. And Phantom is a great, sort of application that enables users to do loads of stuff on Solana.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, what we've seen a lot of, I think, crypto apps in general. Coinbase just recently hit number one. But the point is I think now we're starting to see retail coming in. And Solana usually is one of the first altcoins that retail looks at. And I think, we've talked about this many times with traditional investors, and now they're throwing Solana in there with ETH and Bitcoin, as the primary targets for investments. So you're most likely going to see more of this. I want to flip over to kind of shift over to Polkadot for a second and take a look at comparison. And not that we're comparing all these chains, but I want everybody to kind of understand every chain kind of has a uniqueness to it. This is actually one of the founders of Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, talking about Polkadot. Listen in.
What other Polkadot crossovers are there? Well, we're really excited to see where Jam goes. That's a great innovation. And we're going to be doing a lot of upstream contributions to Substrate from improvements that we've made because of Midnight. So we're all in the family now.
All right, so he's mentioning Jam, which of course, Gavin Wood has been out there really kind of focusing in on this. This is a comparison of Polkadot Solana and then Jam, which is Polka VM. This is not released yet, but the idea is that this is even going to be faster, node requirements very low, performance very high. I mean, there's a lot of potentials here. Have you looked into this so far, especially if you think about Gavin Wood and just his prowess within the blockchain community? What's your opinion of this one right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, all due credit to Gavin for the work that he did on Ethereum and ultimately Polkadot. But I mean, he was most recently on a podcast interview saying that the biggest issue facing Polkadot is sharding, which is the architectural design decision that he ultimately made. Yeah. The second thing that, and this isn't necessarily a judgment against the design of Polkadot, but one of the most obvious things that I try to track are developers and the activity on a particular chain, or frankly, even an open source project, and see where they are. And Ethereum clearly has the majority of those developers today, but there's also a massive uptick of developers that are now building on Solana. Currently, as I sit here today, I don't see that level of activity on Cardano or Polkadot. And so, wherever developers are, there tends to be value. And so I do think that the ambitious roadmap that he's putting in front of us is noble. Will developers actually believe it? How long will it take to actually implement? And will they have a solid go-to-market to get developers to build on top of this new vision?
Well, I think you're right there is follow the devs. That's, like any technology, especially emerging technology, what we're seeing in blockchain right now. And what most likely will be maybe mainstream technology very soon with what we're seeing just around this new administration coming on board. We just did a live stream on this very topic. I want to go into another point right here because this was an interesting statement by Stocktwits. Let me kind of zoom in up there. Meme coins made easy. You'd be able to actually get in and do meme coins on Stocktwits. And of course, if you look at Stocktwits in general, these guys have 8 million users that are very active traders. What the potential of where that might be. When you look at these kind of ecosystems, whether it's a Stocktwits or others, and the idea of memes that almost normalizes crypto to a normie, a person who's never, they're coming in for the very first time. They're not thinking fundamentals, and they're definitely not thinking Bitcoin right off the bat, but they just want to earn a quick earning. Do you feel like this is a good thing for the industry to kind of get people exposed to trading crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. And just full disclosure, I'm an advisor and investor too in Spot. It's a phenomenal product that's more or less aiming to be the Robinhood for meme coins. Their integration with Stocktwits is huge. As you mentioned, there's 8 million users at least noted on their website. They said 10 million on the tweet. Are all of those folks going to eventually end up trading meme coins? Probably not. But some percentage of them actually will. And I think the beauty of this is that it's being all of the wallet management and kind of the user experience challenges that come with onboarding people into crypto is abstracted away on something like Spot. Now, is this this moral argument around is trading meme coins, good or bad.
Right.
I don't really view it either way. People have been speculating from the existence of humans on this planet, and they're never going to stop. And in fact, if you look at things like sports gambling in the United States, 34 states, including Washington, D.C., have legalized it over the past 4 years, and you've got a triple-digit CAGR for every year of growth. Folks, especially younger generation, they love to gamble on football games. It's a social aspect. Stocktwits is a social media site for folks in the finance industry. It just seems to make a lot of sense. And more importantly, though, there's traders on Stocktwits.
Yeah.
And traders, their job is to make money. And so by having access to the highest performing sector of all of crypto in 2024, meme coins, with the simple click of a button, I think this is net positive just for getting more people into crypto in general.
Yeah, I think that's the key here is really the upside for this cycle and many cycles beyond this is really about adoption. Everybody's been kind of talking about, the explosion of what we've seen in traditional capital, a lot of institutionals moving into it, especially around what we've seen with the ETFs. But with that, you got to look at some of the cornerstones of crypto. One, of course, is Ethereum. And I was just looking at currently, if you look at since DenCon, this is the blobs, which essentially are some of the infrastructure of ETH and how it's going to grow. One thing that Matthew Siegel, this is coming over from Van Eck, he says ETH strength confirmed now by fundamentals, blobs per block exceeding their critical level. So this is a new deal. Potentially this could cause some acceleration on base. There's a lot of opportunity here to the upside. When you look at this on Ethereum and you kind of compare what's happening with Solana, how would you compare the two if you were an investor learning about this for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges for an investor coming into space is they tend to want to bring traditional financial models like fundamental analysis to evaluate the value of something. The challenge, though, is as if you dig into the details of something like Ethereum and the DenCon upgrade, it's actually not net positive for the price of Ethereum. It doesn't actually impact the deflationary narrative that has been touted by the Ethereum community for such a long time. Mm-hmm. And so, believe it or not, even when you have large amounts of blobs that are being settled, it's not actually affecting, say, the price of Ether. So you can be a fundamental, in agreement fundamentally with the technology and the changes that Ethereum's making. But if you look at the price and you compare it relative to Bitcoin and relative to Solana, Ethereum is dramatically underperforming both of these assets today.
Sure.
Now, Bitcoin clearly has the institutional flows behind it. They now have options tradings on the spot ETFs. Solana is flipping every metric on Ethereum to date. In fact, even a protocol called Jito, which enables basically faster bundling on Solana, they did more protocol revenue than Tether, Ethereum, basically every other protocol combined yesterday. So the fundamentals from an investor standpoint, if you're looking at what's happening in the Solana ecosystem today, you could still see Solana sitting at all-time highs going, wait a second, this is still 1/3 the value of Ethereum. The activity on Ethereum is positive because we want to see more activity on that network. But from an investor standpoint, what's the relative value between these two? Is it better to own Ethereum or is it better to own Bitcoin and Solana?
Yeah, no, I think that's the quandary that everybody runs in terms of performance and just return on your active assets. So it is a challenge, I think, that everybody faces. When you look at Solana and the argument, and we've had many very pro Solana people on, including, we're a pro Solana, media company because we've been covering it for a long time. We've seen the highs and the lows, but the opportunity, I think, to really kind of accelerate Solana is going to probably come around decentralization or centralization. And many people would argue that Solana is more centralized than it has been in the past. What would you say to that right now?
Yeah, I would just say that the data empirically proves that to be false, right? So right now, for example, if you look at Solana, there's over 1,400 validators. It has an incredibly high Nakamoto coefficient, but most importantly, the majority of these validators are geographically dispersed in various data centers that are not concentrated in something like Amazon. So if you look at the majority of the validators that are running on Ethereum right now, they're running in AWS. So the Ethereum community loves to tout this decentralization maxim, but ultimately you're running inside of a centralized data center that could be coerced at some point in the future versus having the redundancy across myriad data centers. We talk about the SUI outage. Here's another example, right? So SUI got they had an issue with the scheduler, which is pretty hardcore stuff. This had nothing to do with a spike in activity. It just had to do with a bug in the scheduler code. They have 107 validators, so they have Solana has 14 times that many. So as we look at something like Solana and people are simply saying that this is a centralized network, it's just empirically false. And furthermore, the amount of actual stake that's on the network continues to improve over time, especially with folks like Jito enabling Jito SOL as their LST. People can just go ahead and earn the yield by holding that token. Right. This is just kind of a positive flywheel effect, and it's only leading towards even a higher Nakamoto coefficient and ultimately better decentralization.
Okay, so a good argument, I think, because many people will draw that one up quite a bit. I want to go over to the regulatory framework that's kind of setting up right now. And a couple of points that are starting to hit on that is how Trump's position and Congress in general will, address blockchain. I want to go to a clip. This is Charles again talking about this.
Talk us through exactly what those discussions look like and who are you speaking to in particular?
Not exactly clear in how it's set up on the executive side, but on the legislative side, it's very clear what they want is to pass a law.
Is there a sense from, the senators that you're speaking with that this time around there will be support to get this enshrined into law?
Yeah, the challenge is not will the law get passed. I think there's a very high probability that that's going to occur. The challenge is what is the scope of it. So I think there's a very strong bet that we're going to resolve is it a security or not a security issue in 2025.
So you're saying that there's going to be some sort of commission established for this?
So first off, it's hard to pick a commission or even talk about a concept until the Treasury Secretary has been selected. And, if there was a czar, I would advocate a gentleman like Brian Armstrong, for example, to be that person, and then to build a subcommittee structure where subcommittees basically sit under by topic. So you have the stable coins, the exchanges, DeFi, and these types of things. But again, it's very early days. And so I think it's probably going to get resolved within about 60 to 90 days. Treasury Secretary and Trump's people, and they're far beyond my pay grade. I have no idea where they're going.
All right, so some of the points he made there, and I wanted to get your opinion. You look at Cardano, very decentralized in nature. That's kind of their mantra. You look at Solana, many blockchains that will look at decentralization, but at the same time, Charles, kind of pushed up Brian Armstrong, which is a centralized exchange. So a little bit of an oxymoron there, but who would you select as maybe a crypto czar for the White House? Because this is probably going to be a very critical position.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a handful of folks that come to mind, but there's going to be trade-offs to all of them, right? So Brian Armstrong is, arguably the face of U.S. crypto at this point, but Coinbase has been heavily lobbying in D.C. for quite some time. So they have a lot of kind of hooks into D.C. as it stands today. And although, yes, Coinbase is a centralized exchange and they are a publicly traded company, they have been pro-crypto for quite some time. Yes, they are at the behest of shareholders in Wall Street, so that can influence their business-making decisions. But ultimately, I do think that the work that Coinbase has done, fighting, the good fight, so to speak, from the regulation standpoint, but also ensuring that users feel comfortable and confident using a centralized exchange to just be able to gain access to crypto is, those are the characteristics that I would like to see in a czar. On the other side of the spectrum, this is ironically a former CTO of Coinbase, is a guy by the name of Balaji Srinivasan, who's one of the smartest guys I know in the space beyond just crypto. He's had a genomics company that he sold. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's been very forward thinking. And if Trump actually wants to kind of live up to the mantra of having a sea change style event as it relates to digital assets and just frankly innovation in general, AI being included in that, having a huge thinker like Balaji Srinivasan to come in and actually help shape that, I think would be a huge win for the Trump administration and frankly, all of the entrepreneurs in the United States that are trying to continue to build innovative products and services.
Yeah, I've got to check back in on Balaji because we've talked to him before, and he's been very anti, not U.S. in general, but he's anti with what the regulatory framework has been in the United States.
Correct.
Hopefully, his opinion has started to shift now, much more positive. Hopefully, with what's happening now with his new administration. I want to sidestep over into Propy. And I know you're involved with it. I got a chance to see one of your talks there. But I want to go to a clip here that's talking about the crypto escrow that's taking place with Propy and what this might mean for the market. Let's go to that.
11.6% of home buyers in America used crypto for down payment during the last round.
Wow.
They had to first exit crypto and then buy property. So what this service allows is innovation. It's a crypto escrow service with Propy title, which is licensed. Our crypto escrow holds the crypto holding until the deal closes, and then convert it if the seller prefers to receive dollars. I can imagine with the bull run that just have exploded these days, we would see probably 20-30% of Americans, the young generation, getting into home ownership to utilize those services. So we're very thrilled on a timely manner. We've launched this service.
So the reason I bring that up, we've had, that's the CEO of Propy. We've had her on talking about Propy many, many months ago and the potential of real estate and what that might look like, Joe. First of all, your opinion on what this could be for real estate, because she is right. There's going to be a lot of assets that might be looking for, even if it's just a small portion of exits going into real estate, the opportunity of using crypto to do that. Give me a breakdown of where you see this going.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most obvious, I think, use cases when you look at certain verticals or industries where there are layers and layers of bureaucracy or middlemen, right? Even the payments industry is designed this way. So just to run a credit card transaction, there's like 7 or 8 different parties that all want to get a piece of that and have their claim in the critical path of that transaction getting through. That gets removed with things like stablecoin transfers, right? It's just instantaneous settlement and there's really no one in the middle. This is the same type of thing, right? Title, property rights, this, especially in the United States, I can't speak for other countries, is unnecessarily bureaucratic and difficult for people to just simply purchase a home from someone. And so by enabling the custodying of people's crypto assets, let's just say Bitcoin in this scenario, not having to say realize taxes or losses on it if they want to actually purchase a home is a huge benefit, not only to the buyer, but also potentially to the seller if they're also a crypto holder.
Yeah, I think this is a big factor because it's one of the areas of real world assets that we have not necessarily seen engage yet. And it's been somewhat early. Propy is one of the few handful of companies that have started to kind of tread in this space. So I'm definitely going to be watching that. I don't want to bore you with this next clip, but I want to get to the point. And this, of course, you want to play it, guys? The guys are saying we got to play this clip for Joe. He's going to love it. All right, we're going to play this clip for you. We'll let you take a look at it and see what you think.
Here it is in all its splendor. Please note, cryptocurrency payments will be accepted on this lot at the time of payment. We're going to begin at $800,000, at $800,000, $850,000 sir. $1,100,000 is your bid, sir. $1,200,000, $1,800,000 with Jen Hua now. $2 million, sir. $2,600,000 is bid online. Next bid's going to be $2,800,000. It's here at $2,800,000. At $3 million, looking for 2 now. $3 million. Are you out, sir? Yes. At $4,900,000. Say 5, please. $5 million. At $5 million here, on my right-hand side, at $5 million. These are words I never thought I'd say. $5 million for a banana. Don't let it slip away. $5,100,000. Jen, you're going to come in again. The world's most expensive banana at $5,200,000. Fair warning, at $5,200,000. Jen, the Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
All right, so we were having a little fun there with that one, Joe. But the point is with the and of course the bidding. If you guys didn't catch that in the winning bid, that was Justin Sun, one of the billionaires in the Tron network. But if you look at that in general, and you just think about, are we at the top? Is this market now overheated? Is this maybe nearing the point of maybe no return? You've got $100,000 Bitcoin approaching all-time high for Solana. Quite a few tokens who have 10x'd already. Meme coins have had their run. What do you think, Joe? Is this just the beginning, or did the banana end it?
Well, I think my buddy Raul Paul, who claimed the phrase "the banana zone," is it's actually the beginning. I actually don't think we're anywhere near the top, and a lot of this has to do with the regulatory changes that will be coming out of the Trump administration.
Yes.
I mean, look, Justin Sun is not new to these types of public acts of
for sure
baiting people into engaging with him, right?
Yeah.
He's been doing this for a very long time, and I think that the purchase of a piece of art like that at that price, look, people value things however they want to, and it's really relative. The guy's a billionaire. What's a few $1 million to him? It's his call ultimately. Is this a signal of something that is topping? No. And the reason I say that is there's a couple of things. One, we're not seeing a level of euphoria like we saw in late 2021 right now. Furthermore, from the macro perspective, you're having central banks continue to cut rates around the world. The Fed's going to cut another 25 bips in December. That's providing more liquidity into the market. And then third, again, I think just the massive tailwind of having a Trump win as well as a red sweep with the popular vote backing Trump, being a pro-crypto candidate, engaging with so many people in the crypto community, and frankly, the Fair Shake PAC being the most effective political action committee in this past election. The 48 candidates that they backed, they all won. This is not a surprise, I think, from folks that have been tracking what's happening in DC, but DC now has to act on that. Now, we can discount some of what Trump said on the campaign trail, but the perception is that these things are coming. And that's ultimately what drives markets, and I just don't think we're anywhere near done.
Well, I think you hit it right there on the head, and that is narratives. Narratives start playing into this, and especially in these early cycles where many of these advanced traders, they pick these up early enough to where they can truly benefit from them. So I think you're right there. My last clip for you, I promise, Joe, and then I'm going to let you go. And this is talking, because this is getting into mainstream adoption, and this is the thing that I argue all the time, is there's certain trigger points that have to happen for something to really take off. And we're in still very early stage of all of it, including Solana's life cycle. But I want to play this last clip on McDonald's for you. Take a look.
McDonald's is teasing their biggest menu upgrade since the Big Mac. And guess what? It's crypto.
On November 12th, McDonald's teased the Doodles collab. 100 million limited edition hot beverage McCafe cups. Only for the US though. Through the McDonald's app, you'll receive an email where you can claim your digital apparel for your Doodles character.
Run to McDonald's and go get you a hot coffee.
Thank you. Rocking around the Christmas tree.
We're walking to the moon, latte in hand.
I got this for $1 on the app, and I want to go get 5 more just to have as disposable cups at my house.
Not that 100 million cups is very limited, but I wonder if these will sell on eBay.
Merch, they'll drop these rare collector's pack pins. There's only 3,000 of each set available.
This is what happened. The floor price for Doodles went through the roof and has sort of stayed there. So I don't know about you, but I know where I'm getting coffee on Monday.
Doodles coffee cups?
I'm sorry?
The Doodles coffee cups?
The Doodles?
Doodles? Doodles coffee cups? The Doodles coffee cups?
So, 9 out of 10 times, I don't even know what the fuck we are selling here at McDonald's. I don't even know what is this for what, but it's so cute. It's only in there people are gonna get mad.
The what? The Doodles coffee cups? Could I get like 5 of them?
Let me ask. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Okay. Acquired.
Okay. Joe, you didn't know that this was a comedy show, did you?
I did not.
Our guys will get going on some of these things, but the point I'm making is that when you look at McDonald's, this is the retailer of food taking a dive into blockchain, and they're doing it in a fun way with Doodles, an NFT collection. I mean, but what happens when we see real serious entries into this space, whether it's in real world assets, more companies holding Bitcoin and other assets on their treasury? Where do you think that could potentially go with McDonald's taking the lead?
Yeah, look, I mean, so first of all, I was former CTO at one of the top ad agencies in New York City. This is a brand activation. There was likely some deal that was cut between McDonald's and Doodles. This could have been, the same craze that we saw with the Stanley Cups a little over a year ago, right? It's the same kind of concept, and these things go viral for whatever reason. But this is a brand activation. This isn't necessarily the path to onboarding more people into crypto. However, it's going to drum up interest. Even the woman that was suggesting that she doesn't even know what they're selling, maybe she's going to look into that. And what is a Doodle? Oh, it's an NFT. It's on Ethereum. What is Ethereum? I need to get a wallet. All of these types of things, right? My perspective for a couple of years now has been that mobile is going to be the thing that is the big kind of unlock, kind of step function improvement in the amount of people that are actually onboarded into crypto. But most importantly, the crypto is going to be abstracted away. So whether it's a video game, it's there's an application on Solana called Moonwalk where it's competitive steps that you take on a weekly or daily basis where you have these competitions. All of the crypto is mostly abstracted away, and that I think is ultimately what's going to get the next huge boom in users is going to be through the mobile device.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that is going to be one of the major advancements on it and what we'll see. What do you make of this last issue? And that is Gary Gensler stepping down today, or at least saying that he's going to step down on the 20th of January. Is that big?
Yeah, I mean, I was on Yahoo Finance the other day talking about this, and my view was that I'm not a lawyer, but Trump can't legally remove the chair of the SEC. However, I found it then, and I'm not surprised to see this today, next to impossible that someone like Gary Gensler is going to remain at the SEC under a Trump administration. I mean, they could make his life absolute hell. And so this is just, I think, sort of the last hurrah of the current administration's enforcement actions policy for regulating crypto and hopefully ushering in a new era of just clarity. We're not looking for wild, wild west again. What we're looking for is just clarity. So we know not only as investors, but also the entrepreneurs, what the guardrails are, what the rules are, what the frameworks are, so that we can actually, be the leader when it comes to crypto, blockchain, and Web3 based technology and innovation.
Yeah, for sure. Joe McCann, thanks again for stopping in today. We appreciate it. We'll definitely have you back on the show soon as Solana breaks 300, which I think is coming. So good
420. That's where it's going.
That's the number. All right, I like you. All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Appreciate it. All right, you guys. If you're not in the Diamond Circle, make sure and jump in right now. That's our own private group. It's very easy to join. Just click the link down below. Follow me out there on X at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.